will control the vertical.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic with your host Mark. Today, from my random picking mechanism, I have uncovered a series called Urban Gothic. Now, this was a horror anthology series. It ran on the UK's Channel 5 for two series from May 2000 to December 2001. Season 1 was 2000. Season 2 was 2001. That's pretty straightforward. And it ran for 22 shows in all. 13 in the first season and 9 in the second. It was filmed on relatively low budget, tend to be fairly later, so fairly graphic. It apparently had quite a following, and it's been repeated a few times in the UK on the Horror Channel. Essentially, there's a horror story in each episode, and I think there tends to be a kind of a twist in tale. I haven't seen any others apart from the first one, so I can't actually be sure on that. But I felt like that was the vibe of the show. The first several were written by Tom DeVille, but I haven't got credits for some of the later ones, so I don't know. And the very first episode we're going to discuss tonight is called Dead Meat. First aired on the 17th of May 2000. Now, apparently Wikipedia says this has a following. I'm not sure that it does. I have to say the first story was pretty bad. It was pretty awful. And unless it improved drastically in later episodes, I cannot see why anyone would enjoy this. It had apart from ironically perhaps, the first episode was called Dead Meat, and it's essentially teenagers, and I say that in inverted quotes, steal some drugs from some drug pushers and go in a manufacturer and find a dead guy, and then one of them says, "My mate is a necromancer, he can raise the dead," or something like that, and then it proceeds from there. It was an okay premise, but it looked very, very cheap. Now, it does stress that it's low budget, so fair enough, but man, this looks like someone just did this with their mates. That's the feel of this. There's maybe one good actor among all of them, and that's about it, but most of the acting was pretty awful, actually. And I think possibly exacerbated by the cheap video technology that was used here. And it wasn't much fun at all, and it was a bit goofy. In addition, it started out, had some interesting ideas, but it kind of mixed and matched them in a kind of incoherent way. It needed a little better putting together to make the story actually cohere. But unfortunately, the story was also weak. So what we got here is a cheap-looking production that's not very well acted with a slightly incoherent story. So it really doesn't hold your attention. I believe it's on YouTube. I could be wrong, but I believe it's on YouTube to peruse. But having said that about this episode, reading through some of the premises of some of the later ones, they kind of sound like they could be interesting. So there may be some gold here. And as it's got a bit of a following, I could be wrong. I think this might be one you may wish to judge for yourself, but I am not really overtaken. This might be one of the worst anthology episodes I've seen during the run of this podcast. To be honest, it's that poor. But I am used to video technology making things look cheap and feel a bit wooden in terms of the acting state, so I kind of try to soften this based on that, but I really wasn't taken with this particular episode at all. But there's other ones. There's one that sounds interesting. For example, episode 2 is called Vampirology, and it has a guest star of Ingrid Pitt, the famous Hammer glamour girl, playing herself, and it concerns a 100-year-old vampire wandering around Soho, apparently giving his views on life, death, and the universe, which sounds like it could be quite fun actually. But I don't know. I may try and give it a watch just to see. They're not very long. The first one I watched was about 24 minutes, 21 minutes, I think, actually, thinking of it. 2 minutes, that sort of length. So I suspect they're all about that length, for season 1 at least. But honestly, I cannot recommend this other than judge for yourself. That's the level I'm pitching this at. I don't want to really sort of come down on any particular show, because I always try and see the good in things, but I had real trouble with this. As I say, there was one actor in this, and I'm not going to name him or her because I don't want to embarrass the other actors, but I had one distinctly doing a good performance where the rest not so good. So there was that. So I'll leave that with you. I think that's a bit of a downer, this one. Urban Gothic, as I say, ran on UK's Channel 5, which were known for not great telly at that time. They have improved somewhat in some respects, in certain areas that they're actually shining quite bright, actually. But this particular series was probably in the early days of Channel 5, and it just doesn't really grab me at all. I just thought it was a bit silly and a bit, annoying, frankly. There was that too. Okay, so I'm going to wind up there. But before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?
There's nobody here but us chickens.
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to